the founder of Biblical Anatomy Academy. This is going to be a review video for Straico, but I start here on our website, which we invite you to, www.biblicalanatomyacademy.com, an institute for biblical strength and conditioning. We understand what it's like to be 115 pounds and 18 years old, or maybe even older than that, and what the journey of putting muscle mass on biblically looks like, and that's what we aim to do. So here we have a video on what is biblical anatomy if you're curious. We have a button here you can schedule a coffee. We have a couple podcasts, Biblical Anatomy on Mondays, Discipleship Conditioning on Wednesdays. We have a donation request as we conclude 2023 and enter 2024. Ability to do that there. That is a donation link for each of the podcasts, directly supports the podcast. We have our mission statement, statement of faith, and an email list that you can subscribe to. But what I'd like to do is open up a couple tabs. One is going to be Straico. You can see frequently visited here, so I'm going to go to that. And the other is going to be YouTube because I'm going to have some application there, okay? Now, obviously, I've signed into this before, so it takes me directly to it. But after you go to Straico.com, you sign in under your credentials or look at the plans that they have. I'll have an affiliate link in the show notes here that you can utilize to sign up. It doesn't cost you anything extra and is another form of donation that helps us keep things going at Biblical Anatomy Academy. And so if you're interested in Straico, we hope that you utilize that affiliate link to help us out. So what I'd like to do different here then is atypical in comparison to most review videos is do what I like to call an every button. Generally, when I look at review videos, I see something that I wanted them to click on, but they didn't click on. And so it didn't give me a really in-depth view of it. So this is going to be a longer video, but I hope that I'm able to click on every button for you to show what it looks like, at least at this point in time. They are making updates continually, and the group of owners is very active and invested in the improvement of this product. In fact, based on my suggestion, they made a whole new prompt that is available for all users, which was really, really cool. But as you're reading a book, let's start at the top left and let's go from there. Okay, so right here, we have basically a button that expands that section, and the first button here is chat. Once we click chat, we have this screen that pops up. We can select a new chat, which auto-populates this right here. It's just not going to do anything because it's already there. You can treat this chat here just like you would any other form of AI generator. Type in a prompt for whatever your heart desires, and it will respond. It'll let you know its limitations, but anything from a text perspective, an answer perspective goes in here, and you can complete that there. You can create folders right here, and you can title that folder whatever you want. We'll just do test. And we'll click create. And you can see that I have a test folder here now that I can edit again and that I can trash if need be. I teach anatomy and physiology at the collegiate level, among other subjects. And so I have my lectures here that I've utilized to help out with things. I also, actually, I'm going to update this. I used to call it a blog. I now call it a plog. We have a podcast, couple podcasts, and I create a podcast log for each of those. It's a mirror of the podcast, and so it's not by definition a blog, it's a plog. I may have just made that up, but that's what it is. Here we have chats. These are not assigned to any specific folder. They're ones that I keep open all the time that I utilize. When I create a plog, I'll usually create some sort of social media hook or social media meet and hook, as I like to say. We'll go ahead and click on that, and I can show you some experience, some previous that we have here. So I'll take you through the process of this as I create a social media hook and some meat. What I like to do is you can search templates, and I'll usually search for YouTube. And then it gives you all the templates that affiliate with YouTube. There is an entire section that is just YouTube. And so since I know where that is, I'll usually close my templates that I've created. You can create your own. I will go down to YouTube, and then I look at what I want to create. So for instance, a YouTube title. Click that. It's going to ask about your channel. And so usually I'll put the name of the podcast, whether it be biblical anatomy or discipleship conditioning. Under the genre, you could put Christianity, education, whatever the case is here. I usually just put podcast. And then the content of the video, you could put just a brief summary of whatever the video is. I use this a lot for shorts. And so one recent short that I did is on a 1 repetition maximum calculator that is free for download. And so I may say something like free 1 repetition maximum calculator from Biblical Anatomy Academy or something like that. And then suggested title, I usually leave this blank, but if you have an idea for a title, you could put that there. I mean, technically, this is such a short description, I could use that as a title. If you type something blank and you click on insert, it's going to say your template has empty spaces. You can click complete to go back and complete it, or you can just ignore it and click continue. It then auto-populates here for you. And it tells the AI exactly what it wants you to do based on the button or the prompt that you've clicked. So instead of typing this all out yourself, you just filled in some blanks and it's going to do the work for you. So you click submit. Now, here's a time to mention that there is a cost to this in terms of their coins that they have. So depending on the plan that you sign up with, you get a certain allotment of coins. Now this is close to the beginning of this month. My plan, I have 10,000 coins every month that refreshes every month. And so I've used it a little bit this month. So I'm down to 9,073.52. Obviously this isn't real money. This is just sort of their currency they use to monitor. Now, how do you know what you're utilizing? Well, it tells you down here what it's going to deduct from that based on the word count that you're inputting. If I click submit, you'll see in the top right-hand corner here that number drop down when this generates. And so it's typing, it's doing its thing. It's going to give us 5 titles that it recommends. And hopefully one of them works for us and we'll utilize that. And that'll be the title for our social media post. Again, there's the deduction down to 8,000 and 8,700 roughly. And so hopefully one of these works. If it doesn't, I can type in another response to refine. I'll give you an example of that when I do hashtags a little bit later, but you get the idea. Okay. So that's a YouTube title. Now, a lot of times what I'll do right after a title as I'm creating a description, so I'll copy the content that I put here because I'm going to utilize it in the next prompt. And I'm going to click on Enhance Your YouTube Video Description. And under the brief explanation, I'm going to put the same thing. Then I will copy in the video title based on whatever I've titled the video based on the selection of the 5 that we received before. So usually I will copy whichever one that I want, and then I will paste it over in a note so I have it. Then I'll copy this. Then I'll click on this prompt. Then I can paste in the explanation, go to my note, and paste in the title. Let's just call this one free 1RM calculator. And then under channel genre, I again type in podcast. And then when I click insert, because all fields were correctly filled out, it'll just go directly down to here. And again, it created all this for us. All we had to do was fill in the blanks there. And it's going to cost us $2.91. So when we click that, again, you'll see the deduction in the top right when it's done typing. And what it's going to come up with is a YouTube description for your short or your normal length video, whatever you're using. Does this have to be YouTube? No, I use it for social media shorts. So I use it for a number of different platforms. Okay. So obviously I would tailor this up, mold it exactly how I would like, and then I'm rocking and rolling. So that's what I use for my social media hook sort of thread here. You'll notice at the top, current text model. It gives you some information on the preview of it and the different cost of all the different models. You can also see the cost if you click change, and you can select a different version, and it tells you exactly how many coins it costs per 100 words. Okay. I think it is worth going to the level of GPT-4, and Perplexity's good as well. But if you're out, you'll default to this 3.5 Turbo 16K because it's free. So not everything costs. You can do it free here, and this is a good model. It gets you started and sometimes is plenty efficient to what you need. Okay. So the next one I have here, again, you won't have these options. These are just ones that I did. This was a business name idea for a family dog care business that we're looking into. And so I literally just typed in, this wasn't a prompt. I literally just typed this in, create 25 stunning business name ideas for the following idea of Miller Family Dog Care. And this is what it come up with. It's pretty cool. And so we aren't going to select one of these specific, but this did sort of trigger ideas and eventually get us to what we will select for that. TLDR stands for too long didn't read. I use this as a summary for the blogs that I do. And so I will type in basically a blog post and condense it down to basically a short summary for people. There is, I believe, so I will oftentimes for this use my own summary that I've created. I believe there's also a blog template as well. So there's blog ideas, blog posts, concise blog summarizer. You could use this. It is basically the same thing that mine does, but I've made one for the summary that I like. And when you're using most AI text generators, you spend a decent amount of time typing something into your chat here. And then some of you may even copy that and save it to like a side file, so you always have access to that prompt. You can go over and over. Well, this takes that all away. These prompts are built in. And if you find that you have a lot of success with a specific prompt, you can create a new template. And in that template, it'll give you all these options for whatever it is you want the template to say or to yield, basically, when you click on it. This is new. The default model, it used to just default to this 16K. Now you can select it for whatever you want and save it. So going forward, you know that you're using that specific. Obviously, I haven't done that to this point, and I haven't done it on these three either, but I'll update those. Those are a new feature. If you were to click new template, it would give you all the same things. You just fill them in based on what you want, and it gives you straightforward instructions on how to utilize those. I have run into some hiccups here, and sending an email, I get a prompt response back. And in one instance, I was given instruction on what I was doing wrong. In the second instance, they just created the prompt for me, and it's now one of the active prompts that's available. So that's really cool. Really good customer service. Owners are very invested. If you click this over here, this just hides that for a bigger screen, just like you would over here to hide that for a bigger screen. Okay. I like to operate in this sort of view. I have a big enough screen that it works for me. Podcast SEO. Many of us are interested in SEO and trying to understand that as best we can. And so there are some SEO templates you can use that I've found helpful. You can see we have a FAQ generator. From a blog post, you could paste your blog post in and get frequently asked questions created, which is super cool. You see that a lot where there'll be a FAQ section at the bottom of a blog post. If you're taking all the time to craft a blog post, it's kind of nice to have some assistance to have an FAQ section generated for you. All this stuff, of course, you want to scrub through yourself. I would never recommend you just copy and paste, but it does save a substantial amount of time. This could be craft a blog post from an outline. You could just create the outline and have AI help you with a blog post. Again, you're going to want to go through that yourself and make it yours, but that is an option. SEO keyword expert or research expert. That's a pretty cool feature. You can search for words that would be beneficial. Target blog post outline generator, blog article image idea generator, SEO topical map generator, catchy headline generator for SEO and copyright. This one I've used before. You click on this, it asks you the language, what your target keywords are, and then the blog article content you insert, you click, and it creates it for you. Really, really cool stuff. I certainly have not used all of these. I've used many of them. And I'm also the type of individual that if you take me to a restaurant that I've been before, I'm probably going to order the same thing that I always get. And so I've crafted some templates that I use reoccurringly. And like the YouTube ones that I pointed out earlier, I know exactly where those are because I use the YouTube title and enhance your YouTube video description quite a bit. So I'm a bit of a creature of habit in that regard. There's most of this I haven't utilized specifically, but they're all basically the same. We could click on any content, copyright made easy, and you just fill in the blanks. Fill in the blanks. Pretty simple. Takes a lot of work out for you, especially with as complicated as writing prompts have become. You can see what's new. They're always adding stuff to this. Pretty cool stuff. Okay. There's a tutorial here if you need guidance on anything. Again, they are super responsive for anything that you might have email wise. There's also a Discord community here and a questions section. And of course, all your normal profile information there. So a very nice layout. And this is just the first page here. And all I have left here as far as clicks to click every button is just a couple more that I've created. Key takeaways, similar to an FAQ section. This is a key takeaways from the blog post. So I'll paste in a blog post, the same blog post that I did, or blog post, for the TLDR. I'll paste the same one in here and I'll create key takeaways. And then for an FAQ, I'll do the same thing here, but frequently asked questions. There are some cool things you can do to have it modify, and I'll do a new chat real quick and I'll give you an example of that with YouTube tags. So if I'm creating hashtags for YouTube video or social media, I might say free 1RM spreadsheet calculator, and then let's just do like 22 hashtags, insert that. It'll deduct based on the model. Again, I believe that was, GPT-4 Turbo 128K. So there'll be a deduction here based on whatever the cost of that was. Sometimes it takes a minute or two for it to go through, but it usually gives you some really good options. Now, in YouTube specifically, when you insert your tags, you don't add the hashtag. You can, but I don't want to. I want to remove that. So I may copy this for another social media form. But then in my next step, I might say remove all hashtags and place spaces between words, because that's generally what I like to do on YouTube. So I'll do that. I like how the AI apologizes for the oversight. So it's going to redo the same that you had before. It's just going to remove the hashtags, and it's going to add a space between words. Pretty simple. So if you don't get exactly what you're looking for, you can modify it pretty easily. Okay. If I'm done with this thread, I can just delete it here, or I guess I click on the one that I want and then I delete it there. I was thinking of a folder where I can delete it here, but in an individual thread, I would go ahead and delete it here, or I could rename it if it's something that I'm going to utilize over and over again, like TLDR. I'm going to go ahead and delete that. By default, it takes me back to a new chat, and I'm ready to go. So that's the first page. If you go back over to the left, chat, now we have images. I'll actually use the chat to craft a image prompt for a better shot at doing this. So you can describe what you want. It'll auto-populate. You can even do a random shuffle prompt, which is kind of cool. You can do a negative prompt on what you'd want it to avoid. For whatever reason, I seem to get a lot of camera stuff through. So I'll run an example here, but if it comes through with some camera-like stuff, I might add camera. I'm very much still learning what these negative prompts help with and how to get the best possible. So this may be easier for you. It may be more complex, but the negative prompts are handy to remove what you don't want put in. And then there are a bunch of different sort of filters, I guess you'd call, on how you want the image to kind of come out. A lot of times I'm looking for stuff that's realistic, so I'm going to choose photographic. You can upload an image. This is really handy. So this image here, and the only prompt I did was realistic, and I put in a photo, and I wanted this new photo to look as much like the existing photo as possible. Now, when I'm utilizing photos, I almost exclusively go from unsplash.com. They're copyright-free photos, and then I will paste them into here to create an AI photo from there, just to kind of further protect and be as safe. So I'm not pulling copyrighted photos ever and putting them in here and calling it good because now it's an AI photo. You're still using the original source there. And if it's copyrighted, that's something you want to avoid. So I will find something that's not copyrighted and then put that in for AI just to kind of double be careful. I am a master's graduate and a doctoral graduate, and plagiarism is something that I take very seriously. And so we do everything that we can to avoid those types of problems. But you can click and upload an image, pretty self-explanatory there. The settings took me a little bit to kind of figure out here on how you can drag this over, plus or minus the ratio that you want. The image count is super self-explanatory. How many images do you want? I usually, by default, it does 4, but I'll usually do 1 just to make sure we're getting in the ballpark of what we're looking for. And then I can pull it up to 4, 5, 8, whatever. And then you can click run and it'll tell you what it'll cost to run that specific prompt. The reason why I select 1 is it costs you $20 more each one you do. So Make sure that I save my cost there, just in case it's going to produce something that's way off from what I want. I did skip over this advanced section, and so you want to take a look at that as well. There are a bunch of different options here. I'm not familiar with all of them, but I have used the stable diffusion before, and it's this V2.1 that I like. I think it produces a good image, but you certainly try all of these and see what you like best. Under sampler, DDIM is the only one that I've used. I know nothing about any of the rest, and so I couldn't advise you there. But that is normally sort of minimized and hidden from view, so you have to change that by default. So I'll leave the negative prompt empty, and we'll just go with this random of an innovative mixed-used development featuring an interplay, form and function with cutting-edge technology and sustainability features, contemporary, visually striking, architectural illustration. That'll be interesting. Let's see what that does there. Oh, one thing. If we switch to a different form here, we will get different options. So that's one of the big advantages to switching your model, is you'll often have different options. So if you want a different ratioed photo, you'll want to make sure that's select before you progress. So let's run it and let's see what happens. Click run. It'll deduct. It'll generate the image, gives your prompt across the top, and then that's what we got. So we can click on that, kind of bring that view in more magnified, see our prompt again, what our settings were for it, and go from there. Generally, based on what I get, I will either say, yeah, that's in the ballpark of what I want, and go up to like 4 and then run that, or I'll change my prompt to get something that I want to see different. And I think the variations when you select more than one are pretty good. It gives you some options on where you'd like to head going forward. Of course, once you're done, once it's generated, you can download the images, you can trash them, or you can just download them one by one or edit the image. That I'm not super familiar with. I need some more training and work on what the editing of the image entails. There's obviously some basics like an eraser, and then smart export, drag this over, minimize this, crop it, kind of some basic features there. But I haven't played around with that too much. Usually I'm fairly happy with what I see. Delete that. And yeah, so that's the image section. And then we have my profile again here, which displays a little bit different information than this section in the top right. This will be blank by default. You have to create a little avatar, I think they call them, to create that. Let's expand this. Transactions, that'll show you every transaction you've run, like the hashtags and the different images and all that sort of thing, so you can keep track. Billing and plans, this is pretty obvious here. You can also add funds, if I remember correctly. You can add funds if you run out of them. They do regenerate every month. And then there's a little rewards section on some things that you can do. I have done 3 of them, it looks like. But it'll give you a nice reward for completing it. There's a done section and a to-do section, obviously. And so, yeah, you can add some there if you so choose. So I believe that has been every button. I believe we have selected every button possible. And that was my goal. That was my goal in this video, to select every button to give you as good a view as possible of what the platform looks like. to obviously promote our affiliate code. If this is something that you're going to invest your hard-earned money into, we hope that you would use the affiliate code. No additional cost to you, and it would support us for the creation of this video and future videos like it, among all the other things that we do. But two, like you, I use YouTube a lot. I use social media a lot. And this is kind of my way of giving back. I actually looked up a video many years ago on how to replace a turbo out of a 2006 F350 with a 6.0 engine, and found a gentleman that does a phenomenal job with those engines, almost working with those engines exclusively, and was able to swap out a turbo out of a 2006 F350 with a 6.0 liter engine, having not a ton of mechanical experience. Now, I wouldn't recommend that of everyone, but I was a broke college student at the time and had enough money to buy a new turbo, but didn't have enough money to put in the service hours to have somebody do it for me. So I used YouTube for it. You probably have a similar story. I've used YouTube a lot throughout my years to learn how to do the simplest of tasks and more complex tasks like that. And so I have this software that I utilize, and I enjoy it thoroughly. I use it on practically a daily basis. And any software that I use on a daily basis or close thereto, I think it's time that I produce a review video so that you can see what it looks like on the inside, and you can see what you're getting into if you choose to invest, which I would highly recommend. Thank you dearly for your time. We wish you nothing but the best. If you're interested in a biblically based podcast for our muscle growth and synthesis and discussion thereof based on master's education and doctoral education, or simply a Bible study, check out one of our podcasts, which I highlighted in the very beginning of the video by going to our homepage, biblicalanatomyacademy.com, and either clicking podcast in the top right or scrolling down and clicking one of the icons that'll take you directly there. We're on all the social media platforms. We're on all of the platforms that release podcasts. So whether you listen on Spotify or Apple Podcast, it's all available and all there for you. We also have some free resources that are available for you, and we release those sporadically through the podcast, and hope that they are of service to you. And if nothing else, if you just want to grab a cup of coffee, if you're somehow local to us, we'd love to do so in person. If you're not local to us, we'd love to do it virtually. And so again, at biblicalanatomyacademy.com, you can scroll down and click the green button that says coffee, and see how we can serve you, how we can help you. The knowledge that we have dies with us if it's not shared. And so our exercise physiology brain is here to serve you if you have questions. Take care. Thank you. God bless. We want to sincerely thank you for listening to today's episode and conclude properly with the Lord's Prayer. Pray then like this: Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also have forgiven our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.